Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite obscure things. When I say obscure, I don't necessarily mean oh, you probably never heard of them, they're pretty underground. I just mean things that I read in my childhood, or books that I found on sale at the grocery store or whatever that I found were really good. I'm the kind of fan who I want to share everything I find with people that with anyone actually. I was gonna say people that I like, but just anyone, because I feel like those things need to be appreciated by more people, and I want to talk to people about them, and so I just want to share with as many people as I can. So here are a couple of things that I want more people to know about and to like. The first thing I want to talk about is a mini-series / movie, depending on whatever, called The 10th Kingdom. Now I'm gonna pull out a fossil here. Just bear with me. This is my VHS set of this show / movie thing, blah. So it's called The 10th Kingdom, and basically what it is this girl named Virginia is living a normal boring life in New York City. She lives with her dad still. She works as a waitress at this restaurant. She just kind of is bored, doesn't really know what to do with her life. And then suddenly, that all changes when she gets sucked into this other dimension called the 9 Kingdoms, where fairy tales are real history that happened, and it's just a magical place of trolls and fairies and Cinderella and princesses and kingdoms and everything like that. So her and her father go to this other world. They meet up with this guy named Wolf and this golden retriever who turns out to be a prince of the 4th Kingdom who was turned into a dog by an evil queen. Stick with me here for a second. So it was originally a mini-series on NBC. It was for 5 nights, 2 hours a piece, but I watched it as a movie. I watched it like this. So I watched them back to back. It's about 6 hours, I think, running time. 86 minutes, 170 minutes, and 170 minutes. So depending on what you want to do, I mean, you can break it up however you want, or you can just binge it, which I kind of actually recommend. But anyways, it's really good. It's a great story, really well developed characters. It takes the familiarity of fairy tales and matches it up with a new story really well. There's so many things that happen. There's so many callbacks to different fairy tales and stories, and it's really good. It's really good. I really recommend it. So the next thing I want to talk about is a book. It's called Leslie's Journal. It's a young adult novel, and it starts off as a pretty typical book. There's a teenage girl, no one understands her, the cool girls at school are mean to her, her parents don't understand, blah 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 blah. And then this new guy comes to her school, and she meets him, and she falls in love with him, and they start dating. But it turns out that he's not a good guy. He's really not a good guy. He's very abusive, he's very protective and dominant, and she ends up in this spiral out of control because of this guy. And it's a really good book because it tells a dangerous and controversial story, of a teenage girl in an abusive, situation, but it tells it with empathy, it tells it with realism. I really like it. Obviously a million trigger warnings for, sex, drugs, swearing, abuse, basically just everything, violence. But if you don't mind those things, I really recommend reading it. It's a pretty short read, the font is huge, and it's just really good. I mean, that's what I have to say about all of these things, basically. So the next thing I want to talk about is a TV show, and it is called Corner Gas. Now, I only have season 3 and 4 actually on DVD, because I'm a fake fan. I'm just kidding. But what Corner Gas is, it's a TV show set in a small town, a fictional town, in Saskatchewan, Canada. It's a Canadian show, obviously, because no one else would dare do that. It's a Canadian show that was on CTV and Comedy Network for 6 seasons. It's really funny. It's a comedy show. It's kind of like a sitcom. There's an ensemble cast. It centers around this guy named Brent Leroy. He runs a gas station at this place, and just hijinks ensue. All the characters are really funny in their own way. They're all wacky, sitcom characters. I think it might be a little bit inaccessible to a lot of people because I feel like the comedy is very Canadian based. If you're Canadian, you should definitely watch it, and if you're not Canadian, you should still give it a shot because it's still pretty funny. It's got a really like dry sense of humor and I really like it. It's got nice short episodes, so you should be able to whack it out in not that long. Now I have another book that I wanted to talk about. This one's called Dreadful Sorry. So anyways, this story, it's another young adult novel, another story about a teenage girl. Bear with me. It's about this 17-year-old girl named Molly, and she is terrified of water. She has a huge fear of water, and she has had these nightmares haunting her since she was a child about drowning, and that's why she's afraid. And then, so one night she goes to a party with her friends, and it's a pool party, and so she tries to avoid it, but someone thinks it's funny and throws her into the pool, and she like almost drowns because she freaks the frick out. And so she runs away to her dad's home on the coast. And there her dreams actually get worse, and she starts dreaming and finds coincidences between her dreams and like what is happening instead and what she sees in her dreams and the house that her father lives in and the town around her house. And so she goes on this adventure trying to like figure out who she's dreaming of. It's a time travel mystery basically. It's really good. There's a lot of twists and turns. It's really intriguing. It's also like just spooky enough to like make you like wonder what's going on the whole time, but it's not actually like scary or even really a thriller, I wouldn't say. It's just kind of like really intriguing. Yeah, recommend. Hugely. Okay, and the last thing I don't have a prop for because it's a podcast. So there's a podcast that I listen to called Lore, just L-O-R-E. It's not that obscure, but I really want to talk about it because it's really good quality and this guy needs more credit. So it's written, produced, and acted by Aaron Mahnke. He basically, what the podcast is he will look up some sort of urban myth or legend or story or like a horror trope and explain it and its history and its origins and, you know, true stories that have happened around that kind of thing. Or for example, he has a story about fairies and changelings and what that is culturally and like where that myth starts from, and like stories that, you know, kind of reinforce the idea that that might be real. He also talks about like haunted places sometimes, and about the stories behind that and like things that have happened there and like eyewitness accounts and everything like that. It does a really good job of not only telling these stories that are kind of spooky and kind of creepy, but also I feel like a lot of the time when people touch on paranormal topics, they tend to be like a little kooky, like they tend to be really trying to push this idea like ghosts are real, believe in ghosts, you know, these all things are real, you should watch out, the government's hiding it from us, blah 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 blah. But he does a really good job of explaining these things and just kind of saying like, you know, don't have a closed mind. Don't be so arrogant to think that you know everything that's ever happened in the history of the world and that these things can't possibly be real. Just kind of, you know, just listen to these stories, you know, realize that these are real human things and fears, and they come from real stories, whether the story is completely true or the myth that comes from it is completely true. Like everything comes from somewhere. It's just really good. It's also really well produced. The music is really great. It's very immersive. Like I usually listen to podcasts when I'm on the bus from school, and I'll be like sitting there on the bus like terrified, like listening to the story about like this ghost that like haunts this house or whatever. It's really good. I really recommend it. I will put links for all of these things down below, but please check them out. Comment below if you already know about these things or you check them out and you like them. I'm like I said, I want people to read these things because I want to talk about them. I'm such like a fangirl. I want to like talk about the relationships in these things, and I want to, you know, talk about inside jokes that happen and references, and I just want like, I want these things to have a fandom and I don't think they really do. So anyways, that's all I have for today. Please give this video a like if you like this kind of video where I talk about just things that I like. Subscribe for more from me, and yeah, later days.